Whoa, look at me all scary and disembodied. It's Halloween, folks. Whoa. Whoa, I'm very scary. You know what else is scary? Hurricane Sandy. Sandy accomplished what the Occupy Wall Street movement couldn't. It occupied Wall Street for a couple of days now. We're also going to talk about the final word on the register endorsement of Romney, but the big ticket on today's conversation is a conversation with Dan Charleston, Republican candidate for Polk County Sheriff.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
Times are tough, and most people are just trying to make their cars last a little bit longer. That's why you should know about Sargent's Garage in Des Moines. You can trust Sargent's to make the right diagnosis and give you a fair price. Whether it's a routine oil change or a major repair, Sargent's always does outstanding work. So don't give up on that old car just yet. Call Sargent's Garage at 246-8149. That's 246-8149 for Sargent's Garage. Open Sesame is Des Moines' premier Lebanese cafe. This month, Open Sesame is offering an unbeatable lunch special on Monday and Tuesdays. Mention the Fallon Forum when you order anything on Open Sesame's delicious lunch menu and get the second item for half price. That's right, buy one, get one for half price. Open Sesame's pita wraps, salads, soup, and mouth-watering Mideastern specialties will have you and your dining partner coming back again and again. Open Sesame at 313 East Locust Street in Des Moines' historic East Village.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Found him on the steps out in front of St. Alphonsus. Missing both shoes with some broken teeth responses.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the Fallon Forum. Later in the program, we'll be talking with Siobhan Spain of the Center on Sustainable Communities about a fun event called the Sustainable. That's coming up later this month, or actually next month, early November. That should be a fun time. We'll talk about what that group is doing. The main event today will be Dan Charleston. He's the Republican candidate for sheriff. We'll join him shortly, but I got to tell you, Hurricane Sandy, wow, whopping the East Coast, described by meteorologists as unprecedented, one of a kind, nothing ever like this before, and accomplishing what the Occupy Wall Street movement was not able to accomplish, shutting down trade on the New York Stock Exchange for 2 days. The last time that happened was 1888. I was not quite born yet, and it's flooding the financial district. I mean, I was just there last month. I can't imagine what it looks like now. Anyway, I mean, this is obviously not good. And at some point, you have to wonder, when are we going to get to the point where Manhattan is legitimately in danger of being wiped out? I mean, folks, get a clue on climate change. This stuff is happening, and it's not just movies anymore. All right. And again, this particular disaster, yeah. Well, I guess I personally, I will be surprised if it's not outdistanced by the next storm in a year or two. Okay. I also want to just kind of wrap up one loose end here on the on the Register's endorsement of Mitt Romney. A lot of theories are out there. The Register had to do this because they were mad about Obama's keeping the interview secret. They're so bought and paid for by Bain Capital that really Bain Capital pressured them because of the connection between Bain and Gannett. There's lots of theories out there. Some of them, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, really. But I think you can find the real reason in two spots in today's paper. One in the news section, one in an editorial, an opinion piece by Kathy Obradovich, where she says, quote, "The endorsement was unexpected and therefore newsworthy. It got a lot of attention around the country and even internationally." I think the Register they don't like the fact that since 1972 they've only endorsed Republicans. So this was their chance, only endorsed Democrats. So this was their chance to endorse a Republican, because Mitt Romney does not seem to be as extreme as Bush or some of the other Republican candidates that they've taken a pass on. I beg to differ, personally. I don't think we really know who Mitt Romney is, but we sure know who Paul Ryan is. And if Paul Ryan is scary Paul Ryan ought to be as scary or scarier than Sarah Palin was when the Register said that one reason they wouldn't support McCain 4 years ago was because of his poor pick of running mates. So yeah, I think it's about the Register trying to remain relevant, and you don't remain relevant if you're predictable. If all you're going to be saying is the stuff that people expect you to say. If the Register had endorsed Obama, there would be no national buzz. There'd be very little conversation of it here locally as well. But having, again, done the Romney thing and really, really stretched reality to try to make the endorsement work. It's so out of line with the previous endorsement in 2008 and so many things they've said over the past months in this campaign. They had to really stretch it. But it accomplished what I think Kathy Obradovich maybe inadvertently alluded to here. It got attention around the country and internationally. In one of the little blurbs in Iowa Politics Insider, Jason Noble writes, "By endorsing Romney, the 5-person board at the Des Moines Register broke a 40-year streak supporting Democratic candidates." Again, that's what's newsworthy. Something that hasn't happened in 40 years? Wow, big news. Okay, so I think that's the issue here. Newspapers are increasingly struggling to stay afloat, and they have to find a way to remain relevant, to remain valuable. I hope it may backfire, folks. I can't tell you how many people have told me they've discontinued their subscription to the Register. We'll see how far that trend goes. But for now, it's done, and it's not worth talking about anymore, in my opinion. But here's what is worth talking about: the race for sheriff in Polk County. Dan Charleston is in the studio with me. I have tried repeatedly to get Sheriff Bill McCarthy to join me in this conversation. I'd offered to have him and Dan debate here. I'd offered just to have him come in and talk. I asked him just at least to return a phone call or respond to an email message. I can't get boo from the guy, and that does not settle well with me. So Dan, even though we are maybe a very different mind on a lot of issues, I'm pleased that you've taken the time for, I think, the third time. You're probably getting sick of me by now. I'm getting sick of you. No, third time coming in to talk with me. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and again, in a nutshell, give us the 60-second soundbite about your candidacy.
I'm Dan Charleston. I'm currently a sergeant with Polk County Sheriff's Office. I'm the day shift patrol supervisor, and I've got a 23-year history in law enforcement. Starting in the military as an infantryman out in California, and then testing with the largest sheriff's department in the world, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, working out there in several different areas between jail and court services and the street, along with Pomona Police Department. And then from there, lateraled back home and tested with Des Moines Police Department and Polk County Sheriff's Department, and was hired by the longest standing sheriff in Polk County history, Bob Rice. So I've been here back home about 15 years, and having something to compare to, the military and largest sheriff's office in the world, we're missing the mark here in Polk County, and we can do a lot better job in law enforcement practices. So that's why I'm running. Folks, you're welcome to call into the conversation as well at 244-0077, or toll free, it's 855-244-0077. You can also email me at fallonforum@gmail.com. Don't let me have the only one having a blast picking on Dan. Okay, there's plenty of targets to go for here. All right, let me start, Dan, with the Register's endorsement.
By the way, congratulations on not getting the Register's endorsement.
Thank you very much.
I often call that the kiss of death. I speak personally because the Register endorsed me in 2008, and Boswell beat me. They endorsed Bluin in 2006, and two of us beat Bluin in Polk County. That was in the race for governor. And of course, they endorsed both Hillary Clinton and John McCain in 2008, and both of them finished third, I think, and maybe fifth in Iowa. So congratulations. You pretty much got it in the bag.
Thank you. I'm interested in being the sheriff of all the people, from we the people, the Democrat, Independent, and Republican. So I'm not bought for by anybody.
And of course, I'm joking about the Register's endorsement, but they did endorse McCarthy. And just a couple things from that. Let me ask you about that. Charleston, they write that Charleston opposes controls on guns and supports so-called stand your ground laws. What about that? That's an issue that a lot of people do care about. And again, pretty strong feelings on both sides.
That must be a terrible thing to honor the Constitution, the Second Amendment, and evidently stand your ground legislation, of which I'm for. But I'm going to honor the Constitution and all the law enforcement decisions we make. And
But doesn't the Second Amendment allow every white man to own a muzzleloader, single-shot muzzleloader? Isn't really that what the Constitution was talking about back when the Second Amendment was written?
No, I think we've talked about this on a previous show, and I don't believe it that way. But the bottom line is I'm not into taking law-abiding citizens' rights away constitutionally, period. It's real simple. And 90 million firearms owners yesterday killed nobody. So I don't want a law-abiding citizen to be disarmed while the thug's not going to pay attention to the Constitution or any of your laws anyway.
But what about a crazy like the guy who shot Gabrielle Giffords in California? I mean, shouldn't folks like that be screened? Some method of keeping them from getting firearms, especially guns that are going to be used strictly for some kind of a personal assault?
Understanding what's going on of people coming back from the war and the mental health issues, how they're going through the roof, you're not going to stop a guy like that, just like you're not going to stop one citizen who chooses to go through a speed zone in a camera zone, which is obviously unconstitutional as well. He's going to continue to, if he's deranged mentally on some sort of narcotic or he's got a mental health issue, he's going to do what he wants to do. But I don't want somebody standing in that line who could have had their weapons permit, etc., stop that carnage to be stopped according to our laws.
What about a waiting period? Just some kind of a background check, waiting period, especially when it comes to an assault weapon, a weapon that is, I mean, it is not there for you to defend your home. It's not there to hunt. It's there for a much more aggressive purpose. I mean, why not have some kind of waiting period for that?
Well, the current law is a step in the right direction. It keeps the sheriff from being political and saying, you know what, I never did like you when I was a kid, so you're not going to get a weapons permit. Right now, the current law is if you don't have a domestic or harassment first or a felon on your record, you can come into the sheriff's office, apply for a weapons permit from an NRA certified instructor, or have your military DD-214 on the record. And that's a step in the right directions toward constitutional carry, which is what we're truly talking about. But you're not going to stop that guy that walks in the office and says, you know what, you just fired me yesterday, I lost my kid and my marriage, and I'm going to shoot the whole place up. You're not going to stop that, other than if law-abiding citizens choose to have a weapon on them, you're going to stop the carnage of what he could have done in an office or a line like in the Gabby Gifford.
Now, the Register editorial does not mention McCarthy's position on this, and since McCarthy wasn't considerate enough to return my phone calls or answer my emails, I don't know what his position is. But does he have a different viewpoint on this element of law to you?
Well, if you look at charlestonforsheriff.com and go to the video section and watch Public Forum number 1 and 2, you'll get his view on it. He's looking at mine as somewhat of a radical position. I'm looking at it strictly constitutionally, along with most Americans as well as law enforcement. So I'll stand on the Constitution any day.
Okay, so one other question. The editorial says, and this has been my criticism of McCarthy, but the Register is basically making the same criticism of you, that you did not respond to their request to come in for a meeting to consider being endorsed.
Right. They called me, emailed me a couple of times. We had a lot going on in the last 30 days, of which I took off of work. According to Iowa Code Chapter 55.4, they have to give a primary or general candidate 30 days off if they choose. Doesn't have to be paid. I had a lot going on. I've been doing parades, speaking engagements every day, meet and greets. It's one of them things that I didn't think it would be beneficial enough for our particular campaign to meet with them. I asked him point blank, when's the last time you endorsed a Republican candidate for sheriff? There was no answer. So I kind of figured.
Was it as many as 40 years? I mean, that was the last time. I mean, Romney met with them.
I'm sure that's what it was. But the problem is in my business, if you don't quote me right or you choose to lie, that's called lying to a police officer, interference, and you go to jail for that. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in spending time with people who want to twist our truths and what we're trying to get out to the public. Bottom line. It's strong talk, but to me that wasn't beneficial for our particular campaign, considering that they've done several articles before.
Well, no, I mean, I know Reka Basu has been fairly critical. That's an understatement. Fairly critical of you and your candidacy.
Slanderous and lying. Yeah, that's.
You're going to file a lawsuit against?
Oh, we'll deal with that after the campaign.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I know what that's like to have a lawsuit filed against me.
I'm not elected sheriff yet, but this kind of garbage doesn't need to be happening.
But again, you know, she is distinct from the editorial board, as evidenced in the situation with Mitt Romney, where the Register editorial board endorsed Romney. Same day, Reka came out with a pretty strong piece in support of Obama. So
people fought and died for her First Amendment constitutional right to say that. She needs to be a little more careful about her facts when you're talking about people's personnel files, civil service hearings, etc., and what you talk about, whether it's truth or not. That's a problem.
And I don't have those pieces in front of me, so I'm not equipped to comment on those. But let's move on. The editorial also talks about the jail. The new jail opened 4 years ago, and has a capacity of 1,500 prisoners with room for expansion. And I was the honored guest in that jail for one night last month. Close to a year ago. Scary place, by the way. But there's been some contention on that issue with McCarthy basically, and I don't quite understand what the whole dust-up is about, but McCarthy is claiming to have been the one to get that going and move inmates to that jail. I'm not. Maybe you can help clarify that for us.
He quoted that on a recent TV blurb that he did. That was Sheriff Anderson, the last sheriff. That's been a project being worked on for years. We had a jail transition team that had been working on that for over a year's time. Last 6 months of the previous sheriff, Denny Anderson's 4-year term, Sheriff Bill McCarthy came over, and he was a part of, finding out what goes on in the jail, what goes on the street, etc., observing a lot. But to say that you moved us in the jail and you were critical on that, that's just not true at all.
All right. The other item mentioned in the Des Moines Register editorial is the Office of Professional Standards,
which we call internal affairs. What he did, we've had that. Most agencies have that all the way across the United States. We've had that for years. What he did is he did what most chiefs and sheriffs do when they come to a new agency. You review policies. If you choose to rename something because you have a better name for it or a history in there, you do. He renamed it Office of Professional Standards. But internal affairs, same thing, has been around for years. He did not create that at the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Is the new entity significantly different in any way, shape, or form from the previous?
Actually, the personnel that are in there, to me, are not effective. That's my personal opinion, as well as the opinion of a lot of the sheriff's office. We will drastically change that to a true fact-finding clause, which is in the Iowa Code, and that's what it'll be done, and it'll be a professional-run division of the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
I want to get your I want to get your take on. There's so much to talk about. We're moving kind of faster. I want to get your take on restorative justice. That's a very important issue to me, to a lot of people who think that our criminal justice system should be more about bringing people back together, healing inmates, restitution to victims. But let's I want to get one more item in before we go to a break here. This is I know you're a Republican. And again, you probably know that I disagree with about half the Des Moines Register's editorials pretty strongly, and some of them I think are right on the target. And that would be my description for the one entitled recently, "We Don't Need More Extremists in Washington." And this talks about Murdoch, the Senate candidate in Indiana, who, and I will quote, said, "I came to realize that life is a gift from God, and I think even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, that is something that God intended to happen." There have been Republican candidates all across the country weighing in on that. And the Register lays down a challenge. Those who share a political party with such candidates should denounce these comments, and they should have the courage to say these people have no place in Washington. Would you be among the members of the Republican Party who would denounce these comments and say that somebody like Murdoch has no place in Washington, D.C.?
I really don't have opinion about Murdoch. My own opinion is I believe life begins at conceptions. That's me personally. But obviously I'm going to be the sheriff of all the people, the Democrat, the Independent, and the Republican, and I'm going to honor the Iowa Code and the Constitution. So my personal belief about a social issue has nothing to do with me being the sheriff of Polk County.
But it is important. I mean, being sheriff of Polk County is a significant position in and of itself. It's also a good launching pad for running for higher office.
Right.
So I think it's fair game to dialogue about that. I mean,
Right.
Life begins at conception. That's one thing. But would you go so far as to say that there is no case in which a woman should be able to have an abortion, rape, incest, danger to the life of the mother?
Well, what concerns me is I have a lot of personal friends, including neighbors, that are spending $30,000 on a single child to adopt them and going overseas to do that when we have thousands of babies that are aborted every day. It's kind of like, why are we paying this kind of money to adopt a child into a loving home? It's a money racketeering issue.
But that's a different issue, though. I mean,
well, the point is we're free to do a lot of abortions every day, but yet you're going to charge $30,000 to adopt a baby.
Okay, but a rape
doesn't
victim
make any sense.
A rape victim says, "I've been raped, I've been impregnated, I want an abortion." What do you tell her?
Well, I say there's a loving family out there that would probably love to have that baby free of charge.
So you say she must carry that child even if she's been raped?
That's my personal opinion.
Okay. So you would agree with Murdoch, kind of?
I haven't studied what Murdoch says and what he doesn't say. I've heard the name, but I haven't
Well,
studied. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, he thinks it's. He considers rape an act of God. It's and the pregnancy that would result from it an act of God.
It's very unfortunate. And you know what? The ultimate say of it is someday we're going to stand before God and He's going to hold us all accountable for the decisions we make. And that's between you and your maker. And that's my personal decision. And I'm running for Polk County Sheriff.
Yeah,
not
again,
House
I know
or
that.
Senate.
Yeah, but I think it's important. And this is this is an issue that's front and center right now because of the comments of two Senate candidates,
Sure.
Akins and Murdoch. But I mean, and just before we go to the break, just that last question that the Register poses that I think is a good one. Will you, as a Republican, as a member of the same party as Murdoch, say that what he said was inappropriate and that somebody with that attitude has no place in Washington, D.C.?
I'm not going to have an opinion about his. I'm going to have an opinion about law enforcement practices in Polk County.
Okay. Well, when we come back, we'll get back to that. I think these issues that may be peripheral to the main focus of your work are important because they give people an idea of who you are and how you'll think, how you operate, and again what you might do if and when you should run for higher office. And you're a young guy.
46.
You look really good in that shirt.
I appreciate the shirt. Thank you very much, Ed. You have good taste. Have no intention on running for House or Senate. I know law enforcement, and that's where my heart is, and that's where my future is.
All right. Well, and there's some precedent for that as well. How long was Bob Bryce sheriff in Polk County?
I've heard about
a couple hundred years.
No, mid-20s, I think. 25 years. Maybe.
It was 25 years, I think. You're right.
I think he started when he was about 34, and I'm starting when I'm 46. So.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to take a little break here, and when we come back, I want to talk with Dan about restorative justice. I think that's an area we might find some agreement. I do want to thank Physicians for Social Responsibility for helping to sponsor this program, also the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. And I want to thank Gateway Market for being the sponsor of this segment of our show. Gateway is at 20th and Woodland, and I'm going to go there this afternoon and try to find some healthy candy, treats, something that I can give to those cute little devils and angels and mermaids and whatever else comes by my door tonight, because I think trick-or-treat is a great holiday. Halloween is a great holiday. Trick-or-treating is one of those all-American activities that if your kids aren't participating, the terrorists might win. So join me down at Gateway Market. I'm sure we can find something great to hand out for trick-or-treat tonight. And while I'm there, I'm going to be replenishing my supply of dairy products, fruits, vegetables, meats, and again, I love the cheese that they offer there. 200 different types of cheese. Anyway, with apologies to my vegan friends, those are some of the things on my shopping list today, but we'll be back in a few minutes on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey folks, it's Ed Fallon. I want to tell you about saving energy and saving money. Tim Reynolds with Reynolds Energy Solutions will give you a comprehensive energy audit that will cost you nothing. And Tim will identify the many ways in which you can reduce energy use while saving money. Now, I had Tim over for an audit last month, and I was amazed, I tell you, at how much energy was going through the roof, out the windows, the back door. You get it. So before the cold winds of winter really blow hard, give Tim a call at 802-2801. That's 802-2801.
Host is a locally owned restaurant in downtown Des Moines that focuses its food and philosophy on embracing simplicity. The majority of Host's food is from local farmers who practice sustainable and health-conscious agriculture. Much of what you'll find on your plate is a familiar comfort food, presented with a modern and tasty interpretation. Host is open for lunch Monday through Friday from 11 to 2, and also available for private dinner events and special themed dinners throughout the month. So, check out Host at 13th and Locust in Des Moines.
With warm weather finally here, it's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
Wow, some wedding.
Yeah, I've never seen a bride in coveralls.
Right, and skipping down the aisle to accordion music.
Not to mention the reception. That wedding cake was a freaking fruit cake.
It's your wedding. Don't leave anything to chance. Diana's Wedding Cakes. Using only the finest, freshest ingredients with free on-time delivery and setup. Choose one of Diana's custom designs or create your own. Call Diana's Wedding Cakes, 641-275-9279. That's 641-275-9279.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
There is hope. Visit groundwire.net and chat now with a live coach for answers.
Oh my God, Becky, did you see her bumper? I know she's had work done. Just last week, she had dimples and stuff all over, and now look.
Yeah, dimples and stuff. Yeah.
I'm Jamie Lasher from Minor Wreck Express. We're here to help with all the dents, dings, and drama of car ownership. Call 278-0101 or visit minorwreck.com for details. We'll see you in the fast lane.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back, folks. That is Mr. Baber's Neighbors bringing us into the second segment of this program. We're talking with Dan Charleston, the candidate for the Polk County Sheriff on the Republican side of the ticket. Bill McCarthy, I've invited him on the show multiple times. No response, no interest, it seems. Anyway, I'm surprised that he actually went on the Simon Conway show. I'm probably a lot warmer and fuzzier than Simon. And besides, I'm Irish. I mean, we Irish are much warmer and fuzzier than some English guy. All right, so I want to talk about restorative justice because that's an issue that has been very important to me, very important to a lot of people that I worked with when I was at the State House, and we were always trying to do more to get people to get those involved with the justice system to use alternatives to incarceration. And I found some of my best allies on that issue were evangelical Christians who understood restoration. It was an interesting alignment. And I think a lot of it is traced back to a guy named Chuck Colson, who in the Nixon administration, well, he went to prison, kind of saw prison from the inside, came out with a very different view about how offenders should be managed. And so, what was historically more of a politically left perspective on criminal justice, also at that point kind of became a right perspective. And Colson and others have done a good job at promoting alternatives. And I saw that when I was at the State House. And it was rare to get too many people to vote against any legislation that would increase sentences. There were some people up there that would vote for any increase in anyone's sentence, and I found that very disconcerting. But the bottom line is there is common ground on this issue. There should be. And I will admit at this point I've not been tracking as closely as I'd like what's been happening in Polk County. But let me get your take, since I can't get McCarthy to answer my questions. Dan, what's your take on the county's current stand, the current involvement with restorative justice?
Oh, to be blunt, the Polk County Sheriff's Office and 5th Judicial is lip service only with restorative justice. I think it's one of them things where people like to get together and have meetings and talk about it, and it's a feel-good thing, but I don't see it happening a lot in Polk County. And that needs to change, considering that, there's 2.4 million people incarcerated in the country, and 60% of them are mental health disorders as well as narcotic problems. I don't want anybody to get the impression that I'm soft on crime, because I believe that hardened criminals need to be locked away. But when you take somebody that's been popped for the first time for narcotic possession and you put him in the state prison system and he learns better contacts, how not to get caught next time, and better recipes, that's disconcerting, because when he comes out, he's probably not going to be that law-abiding citizen and that neighbor that you would want because of what he's learned in our prison systems. So anytime we can have different programs for aftercare programs, accountability partners, Teen Challenges, an 18-month-long program from 05 to 10 o'clock at night that's teaching life skills, etc. Volunteers coming into from different communities, from different local churches, coming into your local jails, working with people. Instead of spending all the taxpayers' monies on drug treatment programs that are inside the facilities at taxpayers' expense, which I do not agree with, instead of putting GED programs, Narcotic Anonymous programs, Alcoholic Anonymous programs, who these guys have taken a dozen times before. Most times they're volunteer. Sometimes they think it'll get them a lighter sentence. They like to go because maybe the teacher for the day for GED is a female and she's cute, so let's go to that class and sign up, with no intention, for the most part, of changing their head and heart. And most of the detention officers and deputy that work in different prison systems and county jails will affirm what I'm saying.
What do you think about mandatory minimum sentences? That's something that has been discussed quite a bit at the State House.
Well, what's interesting is we act like we're tough on crime here, and we'll give a guy a 25-year sentence knowing that you're only going to do 3 to 5 years. So you'll get a guy that's got precursors and several mess charges with a weapon, and all of a sudden you'll find him, we just gave that guy 100 years, knowing that he's going to get out in 8 years. So, I mean, to me, it's a bunch of fluff. Instead of all the pleading out when police officers are putting their lives on the line, doing these particular cases, literally, and then getting a guy for 3 or 4 charges, legitimate things that he's been convicted of according to the Iowa Code, and then we like to plead 90% of it out. I mean, that to me is disconcerting. Let's take some of the violent ones and put them away, like we need to protect the citizens. But some of these mental health issues that are coming back from overseas, which we're seeing through the roof, and the narcotics issues, I've got a different look on that. If somebody's not getting the picture with narcotics and they're an habitual, driving under the influence and they like to run from police, that's fine. But you've got a lot of people that are first and second time offenders that are doing big time in county jail or state prison systems that if they had a mentor, if they had an aftercare program, they'd steer in a different direction, and we wouldn't blow the relationship and the mindset by locking them up for the rest of their life for 10 years. Yeah. And creating a monster when they get out. Because
now, is it hard to sell people on the idea that it makes more sense that to do something with a prisoner, an inmate rather, an offender, I should say, in a community-based setting, a work release, electronic monitoring bracelet, a day court, these sort of things. Is it a hard sell to the public to do that? And so, I mean, it's always been easy just to say, well, we'll lock up the bad guys. I mean, that's always you hear that in campaign brochures all the time. But this is an opportunity to say, look, there are better ways to deal with it, more cost-effective ways that reduce the risk of repeat offenders. But is that a hard sell in your experience?
I don't believe so. I just think that's a lack of education. I have a personal friend that was, went through a system for involuntary manslaughter in a vehicle, and had some alcohol in his system, a small amount. And the judge literally put him on paper, and it's strict paper, maintain 40 hours employment, accountability partner. And this guy is doing phenomenally right now in your community, and you'd love to have him as a neighbor. So see, there's a story like that everywhere. And I believe in